Oh, here we go. We are live. So we'll just give it a few minutes and let people connect. Welcome, Annie.
I love when you can see people like,
Yeah, we've got her financial restart, Sheena, Anthony. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Wonderful. Well, welcome everybody, and we'll see others joining as we go. It's good to be together with you guys today. I'm Haide Giesbrecht, and Courtenay is with me this morning from Sacred Wave Wellness. And we are hoping to talk about dreaming again, reclaiming imagination, hope, and possibility, which I'm actually really excited to talk about. So, I'll do a quick introduction, and then I'm going to get Courtenay to introduce herself, and then we'll just hop right on in. So my name, like I said, is Haide Giesbrecht. I write encouragement along the journey. I am a registered clinical counselor here in British Columbia, Canada, and I have been working as a counselor for, I don't even know how long, since 97, somewhere thereabouts. I am also a partner and a mother to 4 young adult kids who are on the spectrum. Amazing human beings that I learned so much from them. And I recently I'm going to do a quick little read of, I came up with like a 2-sentence description of my Substack. So I describe it as an art exhibition of the thoughts in my mind, with the hope that my reflections on love, grief, relationship, and growth help others feel seen along the journey. So my writing weaves together pieces of my personal life, insight from my counseling work, and the themes that I see just emerging in the world in general. As in my living, my writing is guided by authenticity, curiosity, and compassion. So that's a little about me. And Courtenay, I'll give you a chance to introduce yourself as well.
Lovely. Okay, well, hello, everybody. I'm super excited to be here. So yes, I'm Courtenay. I am the human behind Sacred Wave Wellness. I am a registered massage therapist, sound bath practitioner, and basically just a lifelong learner in general. So I have my degree in health sciences and many certifications in various things, which is kind of what led to this space, because I have a lot of different passions, and basically I wanted to create something and experiences for people that didn't necessarily fit into the context of a massage therapy session. So that's kind of what led into Sacred Wave Wellness, which is going to hopefully eventually be like an in-person space as well as an online space. And I'm basically focusing on like nervous system and embodiment, because those are, so many things in life feed into that. And that's what I'm passionate about.
That's awesome. Well, and I love when you describe like so many different interests that don't necessarily fit easily into a box. I really resonate with that, because I feel like that's been my experience as well. Is just, there's so many different facets to each of us, and sometimes they don't neatly fit one specific descriptor. And so that's really cool. So in preparing for today, we decided that we're going to have Courtenay just lead us through a little bit of breathing relaxation exercise as we get started, and then we'll hop into our conversation. So Courtenay, I'll let you take it away from here.
Okay. Yeah, I just thought it would be good to lead us through a little short one now, and then I am going to lead everyone through a bit of a longer, but not too long, visualization practice later on. But I was telling Haide before, for some reason I always get super nervous for these things every time. And so I thought, for me and everyone else, we're just going to really land into this space right now. So you can do it with either eyes open or eyes closed, whatever you prefer. And we're just going to take a couple nice, long, deep breaths. So just on your next inhale, taking a deep breath in, holding at the top for 4, 3, 2, One. Full exhale. And we'll do one more. Deep breath in. Holding at the top for 4, 3, 2, 1. And full exhale out. And here we go.
Sounds great. Yeah, well, thank you so much. And I loved when we were talking about topic, you came up with kind of the idea of dreaming again. And so, tell me a little bit about how you came up with the thought, because I loved it. I was like, yes, this is like right where I'm at right now. So, yeah.
Yeah, so as usual, I'm kind of drawing from my own life experiences because, I did a post about it. And yeah, it's just, I think just over the last few years, I have really been kind of further developing what I want to do in life and like what my passions are. And that's kind of what brought Sacred Wave Wellness to life because, it's developed over the years into various iterations of the dream, shall we say, and I'm sure it'll continue to further develop. But yeah, I just think it kind of clicked in my mind, I guess, of just like how long that dream had been kind of sitting there in the background, and I hadn't really taken any steps towards that. Like I'd kind of taken the massage therapy step, which I can't even speak today, which will eventually be with under that umbrella as well. But beyond that, I hadn't really taken any steps towards anything else. And there were so many things kind of underlying that, but I kind of just got to a point where I don't even really know what the moment was, but I just kind of had this conversation with myself and was like, I just got to do it. I just got to start. I have to start something. And it's like so many fears were popping in, and just my perfectionism part of myself that I think was like, oh, you just have to have it all figured out before you start something. And so many things going on in my mind that I just didn't start anything. And so it basically got to a point where I just sat myself down basically and was like, you just got to do it. You just got to start something. You just got to make the decision to start and go from there. And even just thinking back to the beginning of my Substack journey too, and like all the kind of progressions of how it's gone along so far, and like the things that I've done, is also just crazy to think that like, okay, I've just kind of been doing it, and I've been trying to as much as possible, like even though I'm feeling still so many fears that are popping up, just being like, okay, we're going to feel it and we're just going to move with it.
Well, and I find myself like, I'm looking at all the people that are joining and I'm thinking, I'm curious what our listeners, what kinds of dreams are you guys holding? Because I think we all hold dreams, and sometimes we feel confident saying them out loud. And sometimes even just getting to the point of speaking them out loud for the first time can be really like big. And so just, welcome all of you to, if you feel comfortable sharing what your dreams are, or maybe something that you've needed to say out loud and you just need someone to be able to witness it. Do feel free to join in on the chat. It's interesting because when you talked about like reclaiming imagination, hope, possibility, for me, the reclaiming theme has been really huge as part of this. When I started Substack, I didn't actually know what I was starting. I just did it because I had been told I should, and I eventually gave in and did it. And it's become so much more than I could have imagined. And part of it really has felt like this coming back to myself, just like reconnecting with this younger version of myself. And the more I think about some of those parts of who I was, I keep coming back to me as a 7-year-old. Like that is really where the connection feels strongest. And it was interesting the other day because I was reading, one of the writers that I follow had shared a little story about her daughter who was very creative and had made like this little, like a diorama kind of thing with a little house with, furniture and everything made out of cardboard. And I had this very vivid flashback to myself as that young child, desperately wanting. Do you remember? I don't know if you've seen like the Barbie campers, like the old yellow Barbie campers of the 70s. And I desperately wanted one, but we couldn't afford it. And so I made my own. And I built a box and I made like the little patio on top and I made all the furniture to go in it. And it was just like this incredible creativity. And I feel like as life kind of got busier and more expectations and responsibilities got added on, those were the parts of me that I kind of left off to the side, not because they didn't matter, but just there was no time for them. And I'm finding that that's the part that I feel like I'm reclaiming that. And it's really fun. It feels really playful and enjoyable. And I'm doing all sorts of crazy things that I wouldn't have imagined. So it's been kind of fun.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of something that I've been going back to as well, because I think that's such an important point of like, yeah, when we're kids, obviously there's no expectations or anything on kids. Kids just get kids, right? And kids are so creative and they just like are automatically playful and doing whatever, and they've got imaginary friends and all these things, right? And then I think like the older you get, obviously, like the more life you've been through too, like all these other things pop in and you've got stress and possibly grief and you've got responsibilities and all of like life kind of adds up. And I think it is so easy for just your dreams and your desires to kind of fall back onto the back burner, right? So I think like, I've trying to been like doing this myself, but also been trying to tell people too, to like get back into that energy of playfulness and get back into that energy of, you're like 7-year-old or your 5-year-old or whoever you like, your younger version of yourself that you resonate with. To like find the things again that maybe you used to enjoy as a kid too, and getting more into that energy, because then I think also that leads into, because again, that like playful energy kind of dissipates all of those fears and the living in your head and gets you in a completely different like nervous system state too, where you can like get the drop downs popping into your head and have creativity flowing and all those things. Like it just leaves way more space to come in. And I think like also what Joe says as well, like just like you may still be going through some things as well. And I think just like giving yourself that compassion too, to like, life's happening a lot of times. Like life isn't always easy. Life isn't always flowing. And I think just like, giving yourself that compassion, and also like, just trying to like build in whatever practices, or just trying to build in that time, or sometimes like you might even have to schedule in some fun.
Yes.
Because I think we tend to like put that as like, oh, I'll just get to that after like the list is all done, right? But I'm like, you might need to even schedule in some fun just to get in that state, right?
Well, something I found really fascinating was, for those who are following me, you've probably seen some of my posts the last 2 weeks, not this week, but the 2 weeks prior. My family and I were in Canmore. And we did a lot of like hiking and just enjoying, and I got to slide down some rocks, which was kind of fun. It was like a little mini slide, and it was just so playful. And it was really interesting because I found on the days that we went out and we did something really physical, even if it was something that required a lot of concentration, when I came back, my brain was so energized. Like I was alive and writing. Yeah, whimsy is awesome. I agree. I was like writing things and coming up with ideas. And it just got me thinking about like when I work, I love my work and I love what I do. But when I come home, I often don't have the creative energy to be writing and doing all those things. What I often need to do is something like cross stitching or coloring or going for a walk with my dog. And so it just kind of made me aware in a very real way the importance of having a balance of things that inspire your brain, but also things that use your body more than your brain and just needing that balance. And I think for a long time, everything in my life was about things that required my brain. It was about organizing my family. It was about making sure we were getting where we needed to go. It was about working and about organizing my schedule. And there was very little space for some of that physical play. And so just recognizing how different my mind and my body feels when I've actually had physical play, where I've gone spelunking in a cave or I've slid down some rocks on a creek bed. Just some of those fun moments. So it was really helpful to recognize that. And it's a pattern I've noticed when I've taken like a writer's week away. I can do 2 days of intensive writing, and then I need a day where I'm going ziplining or going hiking or biking, something that is really active and takes me away from it. And then when I come back, I'm all the more inspired. So I'm curious, like, have you discovered any rhythms for yourself that are, once you kind of recognize them, you go, oh, these are kind of optimal for me?
Yeah, so I think, again, yeah, I've been seeing all your posts too, and I'm like, this is so great. Because, yeah, I think that's, like, again, an interesting point, because I'm sure, like, all of us can probably think of a time where, yeah, we've been, like, whether it's travel or, yeah, you're just doing something fun one day. And then, because I've been intentionally I've been, like, again, kind of in that space where I'm, like, doing a lot of, like, moving parts. And again, I just kind of sat myself down and was like, okay, like, it's summertime. Like, I just want to build in as many fun things as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And both, like, within the times as well as, like, after the fact, I have been really reflecting on, yeah, like, how different my body feels, as well as, like, my mind just feels so much more spacious after I've had those times too. Because again, I think it just, like, takes you out of that space, right? And it takes you into a different vibration almost, and, like, frequency. Yeah. And so you can, again, get into that more, like, spaciousness, freedom. And it, again, I think allows, like, more flow and more creativity. And, like, yeah, maybe you're not necessarily, like, getting rid of all the potential things that you need to solve or the to-do list, but, like, you're just kind of putting them on the back burner for now. And that's even, like, a practice that I've done too, is, like, just, especially, like, if I know that I want to either, like, relax or do something and I want to be present, I will literally take the time to, yeah, do this kind of, like, visualization, meditation kind of thing, where you essentially, like, bring to mind all the things, whether it's, like, yeah, problems that you need to solve, things that are on your list that you need to do. And I kind of imagine putting them into, like, buckets or baskets and just, like, placing them in there and being like, you know, they're not necessarily gone, but, like, they're in these baskets for now while I can, like, go out and, like, have fun, and I get to be present in that fun, or, like, if I'm connecting with other people too, like, I get to be present, and then, like, those things I can come back to at a later time. And I found that helpful too, because it's, like, I think a lot of people think that, like, you need to, yeah, like, start with a blank slate, or you just need to, like, wipe your mind of all these things and, like, pretend they're not happening. And I'm like, that's not realistic.
Yeah.
Like, if you do that, amazing, but I haven't met anyone that can just, like, do that.
Well, and it reminds me of a couple of different techniques and strategies. I mean, one is the worry box, and if somebody's curious about it, I'm sure if you do a search, it'll tell you a little bit about the worry box. But where you kind of put aside the things that come in and interrupt thoughts, and you do spend time with it, but it's very intentional time. And I think about like the container exercise in EMDR as well, where you put it in a container, and again, not to ignore it, but to find a way to contain it and bring it out in the spaces when we do want to spend time with it. It's when you were discussing that, I thought, oh, it reminds me of like when I was in grad school. Rich and I got married in like May, and in September I went back to school, and I was working full time and doing my master's, which was insane. Eventually I dropped like a half a day so that I was working just a little less, but my life was work and school, and Rich did everything. He did like the cooking, the cleaning, the laundry, the shopping, like everything. And I just remember the feeling of like it's always there. And it felt like literally this weight that I carried with me everywhere I went. So even when I would try to spend some time with friends, or I'd try to have a nice relaxed evening with my partner, I was constantly thinking about grad school and all the stuff that I was dealing with. And so I remember at one point visualizing like a backpack and thinking, this backpack is going to hold all of my worries about papers, my presentations, where am I going to get an internship, all the things that were connected to, and thesis, oh my gosh, like the thesis does not go away until it's finally done. And so it was never done. It was always there. And so I remember like actively visualizing, okay, I'm leaving the building now to go out. So I'm going to stand here and I'm going to put all of those things in my backpack. Then I'm going to zip it up, and I'm actually going to take it off my back, and I'm going to leave it here beside my front door. And when I come back in, I can pick it up again. And it was such a helpful exercise because it just allowed me to very consciously leave it behind. And so I think, those kinds of practices are super helpful, just to find ways of distancing ourselves from the things that feel like they can overwhelm and take up everything, take up all of our energetic space, all of our brain space. I find too, sometimes I'm alarms help me a lot. So this might not be a strategy that works for everybody, but I sometimes have had situations where, I always have like 10 minutes between sessions, which is not a lot of time. But there have been times where I have been so tired that I'm like, I really need to intentionally use these 10 minutes. So I will actually set my alarm for like 6 minutes, and I will lie down on the couch. I will close my eyes. I might even put on my sleep mask, and I will not pay attention to anything except my breathing. And I'll just be working on resting. And I've actually had times where I've like fallen asleep for a few moments, and then my alarm goes and I'm like, okay, I'm good to go. And it's always amazing to me how even little moments like that can feel very, very refreshing. And I think it is about that, like creating actual space away, because I think sometimes we aren't even aware how much energy we are putting into thinking about things and carrying things with us. And so, I'm just looking at what Joe's written. A meditation of carefully wrapping a gift of what is beautiful to you and then breathing and opening it. Oh, that's beautiful, Joe. Tears of relief and joy. And by the way, I did see your post about the hoodlums. That sounds like a lot of fun. It sounds like a great little kid's book that adults probably will enjoy.
I know. I was going to comment on Joe's thing too, because I was like, oh, that's such a good idea. I love I've had a couple people too, like tell me that they want to create kids books. And I'm like, I think kids books are like, so, not that I ever think that I would create a kids book, but I can just imagine it being like so fun to create too. Cause I think like, you can just like kind of make it fun and like make it however you want to make it too. So I think that's a really cool idea. And
well, it definitely is playful, right? Like it's bringing out the play and the creativity, and it's beautiful. Yeah,
exactly. And your practice that you were just sharing, like made me think of something that I've been doing, like kind of similar to that. but a bit different. Because yeah, something that I've been building into my days too, because at work I have like 15 minutes between clients. And I mean, a lot of times it does feel like so rushed because you're doing like you're charting and I've got to like clean everything down between times. And I was like, and as someone also who like I really like if I'm not careful I like take on other people's energy so much, and so I've been really trying to be more mindful of that in the last couple of years. And something that I've been rediscovering in myself that I used to do as a kid again, was dance. And again, like I think that's just like a good, like there's so many things to dance, like it's both like moving your body, but then also it's a really good like nervous system thing too, because if you're ever feeling like stressed or anxious or even angry, like just movement too is really good to like change your state pretty quickly. And so one thing that I just like thought, I was like, I'm going to bring my noise canceling headphones to work, and just like in those 15 minutes, I am going to pop those in and I'm going to play my favorite playlist, and I'm just going to like move however my body wants to move. I'm just going to like,
Oh, I love that.
Treatment room door and just like go for it. And like, what a difference. Like, it's so crazy. Just like how different I feel than like A, just going into the next treatment, but then also by the end of my day too. And like my day, like, it's just so crazy that like you then build these things in and you're almost like, wow.
Yeah. I have done that as well, Courtney. Like I sometimes in my 10 minutes between, I'll close the door and just, put on a song and dance. I find too, like I have playlists for everything. I don't know if you do as well, but I have, my relaxed morning playlist and my fun morning playlist and my I need energy playlist and my doing dishes playlist. And I've got like a different one for each thing. And so I find a lot of times my walking playlist is my go-to because it's upbeat, it's peppy. I listen to it when I go for my walks, but that is often the one that I will put on if I need just a little moment. So I love that. I love that you do that too. That's really cool.
Yeah. Because I think like just music in general. I mean, I don't know, silence is great, but for me, like music, especially again, like recently, I've just been noticing, like, I think people always say, like, when you're sad, you shouldn't listen to like sad music. Sometimes you need to if you like really want to cry it out. But I'm just noticing too, like, I won't even put on, like, unless I'm doing a meditation where it is more like calming music. Lately, I'm really into just like like fun, like pump up music. Yeah, I've got like a workout playlist and a road trip playlist and just a fun playlist. And so it's like, just even noticing the difference that like as soon as you like plug into those too, and like it's so easily, again, I think it's putting you more in that like playfulness vibration, right? And so again, just even that in itself, I think I've noticed, at least in myself, it's really like shifting my state.
Yeah. I have a Hawaii playlist too, because Hawaii is my happy place. And so it started one year when we were in Hawaii. And I remember like, you walk into a little store and it's like, ooh, I really like this music. So, haul out Shazam. What is this? Oh, I like this. I'm going to add this to a playlist. And so it kind of started very organically, but I love it. Like especially, I mean, here in BC, we get our lovely rainy days in the winter. And so when we have like cold, rainy days and I'm like, oh, I would so love to be in Hawaii, I just put on my Hawaii playlist. And it's amazing how quickly it can transport you to like a different space. And I'm curious, as we're talking about this, I find myself wondering, like, can you put your finger on a time in your life when you realize that, like, looking back, where you're like, I think that's where I started to let go of some of that? Or has that always been part of life for you? Like, did you not ever let go of some of that playfulness? Like, was there a space where you realized you became more realistic?
Ooh, this is a big one.
I'm good at asking big questions.
Like, ooh. Okay, so obviously I'm not going to dive into the whole thing, but
Right.
yeah, I've had a lot of like difficult experiences, shall we say, in my like younger years, basically from like when I was very young until about 14.
Yeah.
Which I think just like, I mean, I'm sure there's lots of people that can relate. It just like causes you to grow up faster. And so, yeah,
Mm.
you like mature faster. I think you do just unintentionally kind of lose a lot of that like playfulness and your creativity and
Yeah.
stuff because you're just kind of focusing on, well, whatever it may be, whether you're focusing on just like surviving or like, protecting yourself or whatever it may be. And so I think like that just kind of strips away some of that. Um, and so I think just like, so I had kind of, yeah, like one half of my childhood that was not great. Luckily, I had another half that was really great. So I think that
Mm.
allowed me to still be in that space of like I had step siblings, so I was still in that space of like nice normal humans, playfulness, and I think just like I tried to be really intentional, especially like going into my like early 20s because there was
Yeah.
definitely a period of time in there where I was like super closed off, super like
Mm.
didn't trust other people, didn't really like I had lots of walls up.
Yeah.
And then I can't even really tell you like what the like turning point exactly was where I just kind of I think it was just like like people in my life that I was really close to at the time that just kind of showed me again kind of like proof for your nervous system because again in those states your nervous system just kind of goes into survival mode and it's just kind of like goes into that underlying like okay we're just trying to survive and do the bare minimum and like also protecting you in a way,
Yeah.
right? Which can last obviously until adulthood. And so I think like it's just that proof, right? Like whether
Mm.
it's like family members or friends or whoever it may be that kind of prove to like you and also your nervous system and your subconscious and all those things that like okay I can like let my walls down, I can trust people. And I think that was kind of the turning point for me is like I had luckily those people in my life
Mm.
where it gave me that proof. And then I just kind of like slowly also developed, like honed my circle in a bit better too, of like people that were actually like those supportive people and like those people that like I could confide in and trust and like be myself around and all those
Mm.
things. And I think that just really helps because then again, like, then yeah, it's like proving to your nervous system. And then from there, you can then get more into that playful state and the dreaming and all that kind of stuff, right? I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's interesting because thinking about like when did I lose that playfulness? And I feel like yes and no. I feel like I didn't lose it as much as it went underground. And there were like certain people in my life with whom it could come out, but a lot of the times it was kind of presented. And I think part of that is like the lessons that we learn, often not even, I don't think they're necessarily specifically spoken. I think they're observed. And, looking back, I go, oh, I was a pretty sensitive kid. And so it really didn't take much for me to take something and really take it inside. And I think a lot of times people didn't see it happening because I was also kind of quiet. And so as I look back at it, I'm like, yeah, at some point I got this sense that in order to like live a life that was meaningful, I had to be very serious about it. And I do think intentionality is a really good thing, but I don't think intentionality has to be serious. I think it can also be playful. But that's like part of the reconnecting for me of the last seasons of my life, where I'm recognizing that, oh, yeah, there is this part of me that has kind of a weird sense of humor and that likes laughing and that likes being silly. And that part often was very reserved, like it wasn't allowed to show very often. And so I think, as I think back to it, there's something that happened in school, and I don't know whether it was, what are you going to be when you grow up and just the pressure of that, or if it was, just some of the like Joe says, people say act your age. That's horrible. And I'm thinking, yeah, like I think a lot of times as kids, we get messages about something we're doing is not seen as acceptable. And so then, for those of us who are really sensitive souls, we immediately pull back and we don't show that anymore. And so, yeah, as I, think about it, I'm like, yeah, it really, like for me, school became all about doing well in school and picking a career and following that career. And now when I look back, I'm like, first of all, why did I go to Winnipeg for college when I literally could have gone anywhere in the world? Like I should have gone to Europe. I should have gone to Hawaii. Like I literally could have gone anywhere. And I went to Winnipeg, which it's okay. I love Winnipeg and I actually had some amazing years. But again, there was no room for playfulness or creativity. It was about there's a path, there's a thing that I have to do, and I am determined to just keep doing it. And so I'm very thankful that I'm reconnecting with the playful self, because in that, I feel like I'm really feeling more fully myself. And Joe, I see Joe asks a really big question. How do you help people remember the will to live? The first thing that came to mind, Joe, when I saw your question, is really that part about seeing somebody for who they really are, because I think the will to live feels so much stronger when it comes from a place of, hey, this is who I am at my core, rather than when external pressures and expectations of the world around us start to press in. And so I mean, for me, I think there's a part of that is about reconnecting deeply with the core of who we are. And I do think that comes out in play, which is, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's such an interesting point to make too, is I think that is so much of everyone's experience too, of society and school. It's all kind of designed, shall we say, to keep you in these boxes and keep you on this trajectory, right? And so so many people get stuck in that trap of following this path that society and family and whoever it may be is telling you that you should follow, right? Go to school, get this career, build a stable life, get the white picket fence, get the husband or the wife or the whoever, and have the kids, right? And I think so many people get kind of stuck in there, and then they get to a certain point where they're like, oh, did I actually want any of that?
Yeah.
I think it also it does kind of inherently shut out your own dreams, because you're just following this path thinking that's what we should all be following. But then you're oh, was that actually part of my dream?
Yeah.
I think that's such an important thing too, is also just taking those moments to also check in with yourself, to be yeah, do I actually want that? Is that part of my goal or my vision? And I think you mentioned this earlier too, of speaking it out loud, I think too is powerful, because that's something I started doing when I was building the whole Sacred Wave wellness space. Again, I just kind of thought, you know what, I'm just going to start speaking this out to whoever. I think there's two parts to this. There's the part that is speaking it out loud, I think is really powerful. Yeah. And I mean, you could just speak it out loud to yourself if you wanted to as well.
Yeah.
Or writing it out as well. But then I think also just for me, it was an accountability thing. Okay, if I speak it out and I speak into it, I am accountable to myself to carry this through and take action on it. So I think that was a thing too. And I think kind of what Joe is saying there too, I think an important point is discernment too, because I mean, again, I feel very lucky, and I have cultivated my group of people over the last couple of years. I have amazing friends and family that I don't really have anyone in my life that's like going to be poo-pooing upon my goals and dreams.
Dreams.
But I mean, I know like I've heard other people tell me that they do, and I know like that's a common thing too. So I think also just being aware of like who you're sharing your like goals, dreams, desires with too, because I think that can impact you as well, obviously too. If like you're really excited about this thing and then you tell this person and then they're just like, oh, like, why do you want that? Oh, you know, like they just start kind of, yeah, like poo-pooing on your dreams. And then I think that gets ingrained like, oh, should I want that? Is that like a weird thing to desire? And then I think that can kind of put up some blocks for you as well. So I think that's like an important point to make too, like just being aware of who you're sharing your dreams with. But I definitely do think like I've noticed the power within myself. And sometimes it is like just to myself. I'm speaking my dreams out loud to myself, like, to the universe. And I think that's just like a powerful thing for me as well.
Yeah. Well, and Joe wrote giving safe spaces for people who are struggling to be. And I think there is something really significant about being willing to be present with someone without the need to fix. Like it's such a human desire to see something and want to fix it. And, when I think about being in a place of feeling really down, nobody can really fix that. Like it's not a problem that can be fixed, but sometimes having someone who cares about you and who is willing just to sit there with you and not to have to fix it, but just to be there, is really, really powerful. And that's kind of what you were describing of like having these safe spaces where you can voice the things that you need, and you're not going to have someone who either tries to solve it or tries to tell you that you shouldn't be doing it, but just someone who is willing to be there with you. And I find there's something just so significant about human connection. And that connection can happen in so many ways. And I think for me, Substack has been a really wonderful surprise that way. The number of connections that I've experienced with people that I otherwise would never have met. And they're growing into these beautiful relationships and connections. And there is something really valuable about it that, no AI can meet that need for deep connection and deep presence and deep safety. And so I think, as all the conversations going on about what's AI going to take away, I don't think AI can take away the human connection. It is something really unique and special. And so, being the person who gives safety and connection to someone that we care about, it's really significant. There's something about being seen, and being seen for who you are and being loved and accepted exactly as you are. That is super, I don't know, there's something about it that I find it hard to describe. But there's something really significant about it.
Yeah. And I think, like you're saying about the whole AI thing too, I think that's, like something that I'm really passionate about too, is like, because I think that's so many of like, even just like technology in general too. I mean, I think we've like all seen the people at like a restaurant or something, and like you see people at a table and they're like all on their phones. Like that always just gets me, because I'm like, what is the point? And so I think it's like we're all, and I think like it will just keep getting, like this desire will keep getting stronger, I think, with like the continued progression of technology and AI and all these things. Like I think it is just so much more important to like have spaces and like people that we can connect with, because I think like we are like human beings that are designed to connect, right? So I think that's also like a lot of like the, like mental health and like loneliness epidemic that like keeps getting, I think, like worse and worse, because just with like technology and stuff, I think we tend to like get so disconnected. And so I think like that's something I'm really passionate about too, is like creating those spaces, or even if it's just like me, like one-on-one with like a friend or a family member too. Just like I love having deep conversations and like wherever the conversation kind of takes you. And I think, yeah, it's like you were saying, like giving people that space too. I mean, I even had a friend the other day that was like talking about how like other people sometimes like shut you down when you're maybe like going over and over a certain thing like too long, whatever like too long is, which I've never really like subscribed to, because I'm like, you can come to me like a million times to like hash out the same topic over and over again, and I will just be here for it, whether I'm just listening or you want my feedback or whatever, because I think like it's not really like about me at that point, right? Like it's just like the person might need to vent it out, or just like, and through that maybe they come to their own conclusion, right? Or maybe like whatever I say at that time helps them out, because even after that conversation she was like, oh, I actually found that like really beneficial. So I was like, yeah, like that's the whole point of like connecting and all that kind of stuff, right? So I think like yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I find sometimes when I'm working with couples, that'll come up like, oh, you know, he keeps coming back to this thing, or she keeps talking about this all the time. And it's always that, well, if it keeps coming up, there's a reason for it. Like there's something underneath it that is calling to be seen or heard. And so I think, yeah, we often have maybe ideas of how we think things should be. I find grief is another one of those. People sometimes have ideas about grief and how long it should last. And I mean, my experience of grief has been that it never ends. And that's not meant to be hopeless. Like that, it's actually, to me, that is hopeful, because then if I'm still like, I've been doing some writing about my brother. My brother passed away when I was 16. So that's like 40 years ago. And there are still days where I think about him a lot and I miss him a lot. I'm living my life fully, but that is never going to change. He's never going to be here again in that way. And so sometimes recognizing that things do come with us, and they are things that I don't talk about him all the time like I did at the very beginning, but there are still times where I'm like, oh, something came up for me that this would have been, the kind of thing that I would have talked about with my brother. And having, those moments of connecting with that. And so I think, there's something valuable about noticing that it's not about stop talking about the same thing over and over again, but rather being curious about it. Like, that's interesting. This keeps coming up. So clearly there's something that is still calling to be seen or heard, and creating space and possibility to listen to that.
Exactly. Because I think, you can kind of plug in whatever topic you want into that too. Like obviously you're talking about grief, which is like such a big one. And you can kind of plunk in like whatever word you want in there. Because I think it is so important to like, with whatever it is, like giving yourself compassion, because that usually does breed more curiosity, right? As opposed to like when we're beating ourselves up or judging ourselves and thinking that we should be over a situation by now, or like, oh, I shouldn't be like, keep rehashing this out. I think just like it's a completely different vibration, right? Like judgment and all that kind of stuff is like more contracting, whereas compassion and curiosity is more like open and expansive, which leads to you getting more to the bottom of things, I think. And again, that's just putting you into a completely different like nervous system state too, where like you can get curious. And so I think that's like an important thing too. And then that kind of leads into like all these other various things as well.
Well, I think like noticing rather than judging, right? Just noticing it and observing it, and then, being curious about it. We don't have to judge it. We don't have to make it go away. We could just notice that it's there and see what it is telling us. And I'm looking at the time and I'm realizing we want to do a little exercise yet. So maybe we'll kind of finish up with that. And I'll just put a little plug in here. I've got 2 more lives coming up this weekend. This is like an awesome weekend. I love doing lives. I'm doing one this afternoon at 1 with Curtis, who's actually on. I saw he joined here, who is also a therapist, and with the marketing coach that really encouraged me to start on Substack, which is really fun. And we're going to be talking about, when we get in our own way and all that brings up. So that should be fun. And then tomorrow, talking about creativity and connecting with the playful part of ourselves. I've been walking through the artist way with a couple of other creators here on Substack. And so tomorrow afternoon, we're doing a little conversation about where we're all at in that process. And we will actually be talking about reconnecting with our younger selves, which will be, I think, a really enjoyable topic to hear from them on. So yeah, so looking forward to it. And I'm really thankful, Courtenay, that you have some wonderful ideas about how to wind up our time. So I'm going to hand it over to you and let you just take us through a bit of an exercise.
Perfect. Yeah, because before I start into that, that's what I love about these lives too, is I feel like we just get into like the flow of the conversation, and I feel like we've obviously talked before and we've done a live, and I feel like it just like flows and we just kind of go with like whatever, and it feels like we could continue on. I know, and I was like seeing the time, I was like, how has it already been that amount of time?
I know.
But yeah, I love like leading people through things, and I think I'm going to do more of these. And just in case I forget to mention this later, because once I get us into a relaxing state, I might forget. But I am going to put a version of this, and it will be a bit different because I usually just kind of flow with whatever's popping up at the time. But I do want to put a version of this into my free treasures section on my Substack, so that if you enjoy this, you can go back to it whenever you need it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I invite everyone to get into a comfortable position, and either sitting or lying down, whatever you're comfortable with. I would probably recommend you do it seated just for this one, because it's more of a visualization, and we're all going to be connecting in with a future version of ourselves today. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, whatever makes you more comfortable. Okay. And then just allowing your eyes to gently close and taking a moment to just arrive here. There's nowhere else we need to be right now. Nothing we need to figure out. Nothing we need to solve. And just begin to notice the support beneath you and the weight of your body being held. And then on your next inhale, I'll just get you to take a deep, slow breath in through your nose, holding at the top for 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhaling all the way out through the mouth. And again, deep inhale in through the nose, holding at the top for 4, 3, 2, 1, and full exhale out of the mouth, letting it all go. Now allowing your breath to just settle into its natural rhythm. And now, in your mind's eye, imagine yourself walking down a beautiful path. And just notice whatever appears. The light, the trees, the air around you. Maybe you can hear some birds in the distance, the warmth of the sun on your skin, and just feeling yourself becoming more grounded and more present as you walk through this space with each step. And as you continue walking, you see a door. And your door is going to look unique to you. And whatever you see is perfect. And now I want you to open that door and step through. And as you step through, you are bathed in a golden white light, leaving everything you are carrying with you behind. And on the other side is a path that opens into a beautiful meadow bathed in a soft golden light. And as you take in this space, you notice in the distance someone is approaching. And as they come closer, you begin to recognize them. It's you. And they are happy to see you. As they approach, notice their demeanor, how they carry themselves, their eyes. And now that they are standing before you, they bring you in to a warm and comforting embrace. And they tell you that they have a message for you. Take a moment to simply be with them. Allow yourself to receive whatever comes. I'm going to leave you here for just a couple of minutes to receive whatever the message is that they have for you. conversation comes to a natural close, just getting any last bits of the message. Whatever passed between you is exactly what was meant to. Maybe it's a word, a feeling, an image, or maybe just their presence. There is no right or wrong experience. And as your time together comes to a close, give your gratitude towards this future version of you. As you receive one last embrace, you watch them until they disappear into the forest, and you are left standing in the meadow with something you didn't have when you arrived. And just take a moment to feel what that is. And then gently begin to walk back down the path, carrying with you whatever it is you received. And as you continue to walk down the path, you go back to the door and through it, knowing that you get to carry your message back with you. And you get to carry this feeling with you into the rest of your day, knowing that you can return to this place whenever you need it. Because your future self isn't somewhere far away, you're already becoming them, one moment at a time. And now just begin to notice your breath again, the weight of your body, the room around you, and just taking a slow, deep breath in and all the way out. Wiggling fingers and toes. And whenever you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes and come back into the space. And I think just also before we close down this, and also before you continue to move on to your day too, just taking a moment to notice whatever came up for you. You also might want to write it down too if anything came up and you don't want to forget it. And just also I think knowing, this counts for this too, and like any other experience and meditation, visualization, is you don't necessarily need to understand whatever it is that came up, or sometimes maybe nothing is coming up at the time too, and people always tend to think like, oh, I must have done something wrong or I didn't do it right. But I think I always just say whatever comes up, even if it's nothing at the time, it's all perfect, it's all correct. And sometimes these experiences continue to unfold long after the experience has ended as well. So I think just being aware of that as well. And I think if anyone feels called to drop anything into the chat as well, of anything that was coming up or anything, just drop it into the chat. And you can also message me after the fact too, because I always love to know.
Thank you so much. I mean, I'm happy to share what came up for me, and then if it gives a few minutes for people to share if they'd like to as well. It was interesting because what came up for me was that there was both my younger self and my future self, and it felt like this embrace of, and I had like, the picture of the three parts of myself like together, and just, yeah, I had a very, very fascinating dream last night, and I'm probably going to be writing about it. So stay tuned and you'll get to read all about my dream. And it was, I usually hate my dreams because I'm a very vivid dreamer, and I've often had like very like intense, they don't feel good dreams. And this was a very different dream. It was very filled with wonder and, um, and surprise. And so some of the parts of the dream kind of came into the visualization. And one of the parts of the dream that I actually put it through ChatGPT. Here's my dream. What do you think about it? To see what it would suggest. And one of the parts I was like, yeah, that doesn't quite make sense for me yet. And one of those pieces just connected. And it was around that part of, oh, the child in the dream is not me as a caretaker. It's actually me as the child, which was really lovely. So thank you.
I love that. That's so cool. And that's what I kind of love about like whether it's a meditation or visualization or whatever it is. I think it's just so cool also to think that like even if somebody is leading you through something, everyone is having their own experience. And like sometimes I've been in like these kind of things too, where like the person's voice just kind of like fades into the background almost, and like you're just having your own experience in there. And it's like, again, that's why I kind of say like whatever comes up is like all good, because that's like kind of what you need in that moment. Because I'm just like reading Joe's thing too. I'm like, that sounds so cool.
Yeah.
And so I think that's always the interesting thing about these things is like there's no right way to do it. There's no right experience. And like also if you do it multiple times too, you're going to get a different experience every time. And that's why I just like love doing these experiences. Like that's what I want to do more of. Like that's what I'm passionate about. And I also just like, that's why I wanted to bring this visualization into this conversation too, because this actually popped into my mind during a massage one day, like a longer version of it. I kind of like obviously want to do a bit of a shorter one for this experience, but it was so interesting because again, sometimes I just like, if I'm not talking with the person, I will just like, I get into kind of a flow state because obviously I've been a massage therapist for so long now. And sometimes the randomest things just pop into your head. And it was like, I was literally like walking myself through this like meditation that had just like popped into my mind. And I was like, I love this.
Yeah.
So like that's what it sparked from.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, and I love that you also created the space to say, like, it's okay if there's nothing. Because I know some people in my life who are not able to visualize at all. And so I think sometimes we put pressure on ourselves for it to look a certain way. And just to recognize, like, if you are someone who is not able to visualize, it's okay just to breathe, right? Just to take the breath in and out and just let your body be and do exactly what it needs to in that moment. And so I love that you touched on that as well of, this is going to feel different for different people. And you may have an image that comes to mind, or you may not be able to find an image. And it doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It just means that it's a different experience for you. And
exactly. And I think that's like another, a quick little, validation on that point too. Cause I've definitely had people that say to me, like, I can't visualize. And I think, even if you are like going to do a certain like visualization meditation or whatever it may be. And I think that's like why I try to say during my visualizations too, like sense it, like feel this, hear this, because I think like, if you're not necessarily like seeing the thing that the person is describing, sometimes you can like hear things or you can like smell things or like you can bring your other senses into it too. And another thing that I'll just mention too, because I think if you are like, maybe not for this, where like maybe you weren't prepared to do a visualization. But if you know that like you are wanting to do this, someone actually just mentioned this to me and I thought, oh, that's kind of a cool idea, is like having, like if you are wanting to like visualize a goal or a dream or something, like I'll just use mine for example, like I eventually want to have a wellness space. So say you like bring up a picture beforehand of this wellness space and you like look at it beforehand, then as you go into the visualization, you just like hold that image that you looked at beforehand in your mind. And so you're not specifically trying to like visualize the thing, but you are just like holding that picture that you looked at in your mind. And I thought that was kind of an interesting point because I've actually never personally tried that because I find it easy to visualize. Like that's something I've always been like good at because I, like you, also have very vivid dreams. So they come like, feels like I'm there kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so, but I thought like, that's such like a good idea for people that like find it hard to visualize, like having an image there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Oh my goodness. My brain is sparking with so many more ideas, but I'm like, no, we can't go there now. We'll do that next time. Thank you so much for joining me today again. I always love our conversations, Courtenay. So we'll have to see when we can set up our next one because I thoroughly enjoy this. So thank you for bringing that. And thank you to everyone who joined us. It's so great to see you all here. And thanks for the input as well. Feel free if anything has come up that you're curious about or you just want to share with us. I think Courtenay and I are both open to send us a message and just let us know if there's anything you wanted to share with us that you didn't have a chance to do in the chat. So yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for everyone here and everyone who's going to be watching the replay as well.
Yeah, awesome. Have a great weekend, everyone, and we'll see you next time.